Hey people, Broken Puppet, back again, finally. And sorry for the delay, I had surgery recently and I've only really just started recovering enough to start doing these videos again. But I promise, they'll be coming out regularly once again. And today I've got how to draw an old school L, as you guys have been requesting. I hope you guys enjoy it. And just a heads up as well, I'm going to be doing a quick tip tutorial set. That's a mouthful. And but yeah, basically offering you guys quick tips and tricks about anything you've been struggling with. So if there's anything you'd like to know how to draw, just little bits you're struggling with, drop a comment below and I will try to get you sorted out in the next video I do. And if not the one afterwards, not the one after that, but you know what I mean. We'll be sorted out very soon. But for now, enjoy the video and I'll see you next time. Alright people, how to draw an old school owl. And this one's a bit more advanced than usual tutorials, but you know, if you just follow it, you'll understand. You know, although it's a bit more complicated, it's still relatively easy once you sort of know all the basic bits. And now I'm going to break it down so really simply at first. Now you want kind of like an oval shape for the head. Just sketch it in really roughly, you know, just like that. You know, it doesn't have to be neat in the moment. You want an egg shape, going roughly about the same width as the head, but just coming out a lot longer, kind of upside down. So this bit here is the longest bit, and it kind of comes a bit thinner towards the bottom. See? Then do another one similar to that, just a bit to the side, like that. And then, as if you was doing another one here, just curve that bit around there. That's where the wings are going to go. And that, now on this one, I'm going to have like a tree branch just come up here. So I'm just going to sketch a line, just a funky curve, you know, so I know where the tree's going to go. And I'm going to have his feet kind of curling on it, well, not feet, claws rather. So they're going to have like one sausage, two sausage, three sausage. One sausage, two sausage, three sausage. In case you didn't realise, sausages are the feet. They are each, what do you call like separate claws? The whole thing's a claw. Ah, don't worry. Anyway, right, back up to the face. Do 2 circles for the eyes. You know, you want a little gap, not too big a gap in between. And that, like a V in the middle, and like a little circle, top bit. Do a V on top of the eyes, V going there, and a V going there. You want this going further out than the oval. See, out there, out there. And now that we got that, we have the basic guideline for the L. Now I know at the moment it looks a bit kind of crappy, but trust me, stick with it. Now come back to the eyes now. Go straight into pen for this so you can see a lot easier. And that, now I'm going to start with the beak. Now for this, we've got that semicircle bit at the top. Do a circle shape, a semicircle like that. And on the side bit, bring it out just a touch bit and curve it down to the bottom point of that V. Bottom point, bottom. Sorry guys, it's a bit late, I'm pretty tired here. It's like early hours in the morning. And that, anyway, yeah, so bring that down to the bottom of the V. And then bring that back up. Not all the way though. So going up towards that point, and then what you want to do is curve this bit around it. So you curve around here, and come under that line, and touch it. It kind of creates like a little mouth bit to one side, because it's slightly at an angle. If it was dead centre, it'd be like a straight line, V, curve around. But because we've got it slightly at an angle, you've got to work with the curve. Now just do another line to go out the middle. Slightly curving a bit to this side, so you want it to kind of curve and flick towards that. So if you imagine the centre point of that to the centre point of that and kind of bend it out a bit, a little curve. On top of that, just bring that semicircle around on top. And then we go over to the eye bits. Now the eye, this bit you kind of got to get this kind of curve right if you want. Now you can do basic circles if you want. You'd like a circle eye with a big bit. Now it depends what kind of look you want. This one's going to be a bit of a kind of mean looking one. Now if you want an innocent one, you know, big circle eyes with big pupils and like really like kind of light sort of reflective bits in between. And that, I'll show you more when I sort of do this one. You know what I meant by that, but you'll see. Now this one you want to bring like a bend curve, so it's going to curve down, up, and flick out. Coming from about halfway through that curve. See, just like that. Simple. Underneath that, you want to bring in the circle. See, just curve that underneath. Now I'm going to put a little detail line, just a little flick there, just to kind of show that curve a bit more. Now I'm going to do the same thing the other way, on the other side. But you've got to remember, because this face is slightly at an angle, whenever you do anything on this side, it's going to be a bit more tighter. So you see this line goes over a lot more. This one's going to be slightly shorter and a bit more to a point. And the circle is going to be slightly closer. See, just like that. Then what I'm going to do, where we've done that circle before, you know, the guideline circle, I'm going to draw a cross similar to that around there and do little flicky bits just off the side. So you see, curve like that. You know, following the same similar shape to what the eyeball is. Then when you get here, just a few little jaggedy bits, just point out. A little flick there. Just like that, simple. And now before I do the other side, I'm going to show you how to do one of the eyebrows. The eyebrows very, very, very important when it comes to ours. It's like one of the key things of the personality. And now you can have these kind of curving downwards, outwards, but you want to make sure that they come to a point and go further out the head. Almost kind of making horns for it. You know, it's the way the owl's face goes. Right, for this one, I'm going to bring out a simple curve. Just like that, you see. But then the inside I'm going to make it a little bit more complicated. Going to bring this out. Little flick down there. Flick this one back in. And then come from just underneath that up to that line. Just like that. So you see a nice big curve out, curve down, little flick inwards. And then I'm going to do the same sort of thing on the other side. And that's so bring that. Remember, like I said, on this side you want to be a bit more tight. So you see it's not quite as smooth and long as that side. Just like that. And then that circle bit underneath. Circle, jaggedy, jaggedy, jew. Done. Now you can see that's a pretty cool little like basic bit of the face now we got done. And now I want to bring back your pencil bit for this and that, because you might struggle a little bit. Now the top of the head, quite simple, you just want to carry that curve around to where it was. And now here you can do all sorts of designs and that in here. Now this one, I'm going to bring a line across, you know, mimicking that line. So like a line bit across the top bit there. And I've like another little flicky bit here, just behind the head. Then on the inside bit, I'm going to do kind of like scaly. Now in tattooing it's kind of scales, but it makes a feather look as well. You use it all the time in birds. And that's so you want a semicircle, and then just do another semicircle, touch in the middle, and going across. And you just want to repeat that pattern. Just keep semicircle into the middle, and going to the edge. And that'll make the rough head shape. Now just looks a bit weird in pencil, but it'll look a lot better once we go over it in pen. Now the bit around the face here can get a bit tough for some people trying to get the shape right. Now the trick is to try and work this oval shape right. Now I want this curve here. I'm going to bring this a bit more defined there. And this one I'm going to bring in just a touch. Just there. See, I want this bit to come out a little bit wider than this bit. Now that's kind of curving up a little bit towards the mouth. Just like that. Then what I'm going to do, now you've got your basic sort of shape for it, bring in the pen. Now what we're going to do, one curve, flick in. Another curve, flick in. Just keep doing that, around, and around, and around, until you come back to where the mouth is. Same on the other side. Flick in, flick in, flick in. just like that. And now for this one, what I'm going to do around the eye, almost kind of like Day of the Dead influence, I'm going to do little sort of, again, semicircles. You're going to be doing a lot of semicircles with this design and that. Sorry about that, the camera space ran out. But yeah, like little semicircle, semicircle, and just keep doing that until you get the jaggedy bit. Semicircle, 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 jaggedy bit. Alright, there we go. That's that bit. Now it's going to do the top of the head. Like I said, just simple curve for this one. It could be more complicated and do any kind of design in this top bit if you want. But for this one, I'm going to do simple. Don't know. See, just like that. Now a bit of top of the head. We're going to do another little detail bit just around here. It's going to mimic the see the curves we've done here. It's going to mimic this, just tighter, coming around here and just flicking it off about here. So see a little flick, little flick. Just like that. And do the same on the other side. Now, a lot of these bits you can do, you can leave out. It's just to give you guys ideas of what you can actually add to it to make it more interesting. But yeah, so you can see that's the face done. Grab my pencil and that, and now you got the wing, which is going to go here. Now for this one, just tighten up, you know, the line around it, and around here. See, about 2/3 up. Bring a line across. This is how I like to do my ones. You know, big scale bits in here. You know, the semicircles. I'll do them in detail in a bit. And underneath here, it's going to be where we're going to do the feathers. Now you've got to remember, where the angle of the wing goes, this bit is going to be longer. The feathers here are going to be longer than it is on this side. So, bring this down. Just bring a line down, curve back up a little bit, then a curve. Line down a bit, line, curve. Just do that across. Then do your second layer. You can do as many layers or as few layers as you want. You could have just one layer of wings, or you could have 3, 4. Now for this one, I'm just going to do 1, 2. Should I have a third in there? No, just keep it like that. Just trying to get those lines to work with that shape. You know, you want to kind of keep that egg shape with it. And now here, I don't really, let's call this bit, it's a little kind of puffy bit just underneath the face. Now you want to curve this to a point, and curve that out here. Now again, if you're doing this like straight view, this bit would be dead center, and you just kind of curve out, but we've got slightly an angle here. So like bring that curve around to there. Imagine that kind of curve line going up to that centre bit, curving that around, as if that was coming around here. And get your pen. And very similar to how we done this bit. I'm going to bring a line up. Just like that, just keep flicking it around. So you come round to the top. A few little detail lines I'm going to do, just a little flick of a line there, not the whole way up. And just underneath the neck bit here, just going to flick a few lines just to show the direction it kind of goes in. Just like that. Now I'm going to do the wing. Just going to go over it in pen. Start off with that line across. I'm just going to put in those scales. These ones are going to do wider, just to make a bit of difference to the other ones around the face. Once you get to the edge, like here, just pretend you're carrying on. Don't sort of try and curve it back in, otherwise you get a really weird look into the, like a weird look to the edge. So just pretend you're carrying on with it, as if that line wasn't there, but just stop at it. Simple, just like that. And then with the wing bits at the bottom. Simple, just like that. Then you've got the wings. Now that's going to be a little line just down the centre bit here of each one. Just straight and flick, straight flick. That make more sense when we're colouring, so do a bit of shading on that. Now the back here, just because of the way this would go, this would curve around and come out a little bit here, so I'm just going to do a little sort of circle bit just on this edge. Depending on how you initially sketch it out, you might need that, you might not. And that's just to keep the shape of the body right. Now at this point, where we've got the claws, you're on this curve coming, but it's going to kind of, the body's going to kind of disappear behind the hands and behind the tree bit. So this realistically is going to be the only two lines we see. It's going to have tree branch here, claws here. So you're not going to see this section of the body. So it's going to bring that line up, that line across. I'm going to bring this wing bit around here. Now I'm doing this one similar to this side. So you see we've got this, the circle bit, the two lines, and then you have a few little wing bits here. I'm going to do some scales on this. And a little wing bit. Come together pretty quick here. And now before I do the scale bits here, I want to do the claws, so we know what space we've got to draw on here. Claws quite simple. And now what you want to do, now for instance you've got each sausage shape. Do a circle in the middle of each sausage shape. And then a little triangle at the bottom of each one. This will give you the basic idea of how the shape works. Now you don't have to do this, but I like to make the middle one longer than the side two. And then you want it to be quite big with, like, the birds. Don't do it too small. Now make it a nice feature. Now we've done those we've done the circle bit in the middle. Do a line around it, but don't join up in the centre. See here, leave a little gap and a little gap, and that. 3 little lines, kind of curving in the middle. Then draw that sausage shape in around it. Now because the claw is holding onto a branch, it's kind of fisting, so you're not going to see too much of the claw. So we've done a little triangle, just do that little point, just like that. And now to add that kind of skin to it, I'm just going to do curved lines around it, not in the centre bit, coming from the outside and just curving, not touching this side, just curving that shape around. And at the bottom, curving the other way. So you want to curve the same way as the circle. And what this does, this kind of gives a direction that the foot's going in. This bit goes backwards, and this bit curves around. And so by having the circles that way, it shows it bending that way. By having it this way, shows it going that direction. It makes sense once you draw it if you don't quite understand what I'm on about. But so you just do the same thing again, just drawing that same shape. I'm going to do this one a bit bigger than the other side ones. And you should do the same on the other side, but when you do it on this side, you want those lines going the other way. So curve from the edge inwards when it's this foot, and curve on a line this way when it's this foot. And sometimes when you draw the claws close together, you don't see what's underneath. But just remember, like this one will be over the top. So when you do it close, just pretend that bit's there, but just don't draw that bit into that claw. Just like that. Now the branch, I'm just going to do, just anyhow, I'm just going to do like a kind of wiggly line here. And just pick up off that line. The way the tree branch is just not ready to be neat, just do like a really funky kind of line. Bring it out here. Now where one of the branches will go. Just bring that to a separate little point. And then the main bit, it's going to go in there. And inside, just do a few little sort of jaggedy lines. Jaggedy, no, these ones ain't jaggedy, just kind of mad flowing lines. Going with it. So see down the middle, I just do this really kind of wavy, kind of funky line. Just bring like a few where you kind of curve and come back on yourself, and then curve a line around it. I'll do some plants and like plants, little flower bits in a bit. But now we've got that, I want you to sketch in scales on this bit of the body. Now you've got the scales here going upwards, on the body going downwards. Now, if you struggle getting your placement right, draw like a grid. Draw lines across, then draw some lines down. And then do a little line, faint line, halfway between those lines. And you know on this top line, what we're going to do, we're going to make this circle fit inside that rectangle. There. And then on the bottom bit, we're going to make it go across where that faint line was. So we've got the faint line, that's your highest point. And where it touches the previous circle, that's where you join it up. Yeah, but the scale bit's in the middle. Now these ones, I'm going to do an extra little detail. In between each one, I'm going to do this little V shape. Just pointing down. Now this is completely optional, it's just something I quite like the look of. I'm literally just making this up as I go along. So there you go. Every time you can see that little centre bit, just do that little V coming down from it. And now we've got that, I'm going to quickly sketch in some flowers, and then we'll do the under bit. So here, just going to do a circle shape here, circle there, circle there, circle there. Just going to do a simple one, I'm just going to do like cherry blossoms with some leaves. Cherry blossoms, real simple to do. Do a circle, and that, and then you want 5 leaves. So your best way to do this, do one line going straight up, do a very wide V, and then a V at the bottom, and that, and then just make each of your leaves come to that point. Now each leaf you want to go like this. So if you've got the circle bit, the circle I'm going to do in dots. So I'm going to do dots all around that little circle shape, like that. And now you want to bring a curve up, bend in, little V in the middle, curve up, bend in, just like that, and a little line flick in the middle. I do that for all the leaves, all the, well, petals rather, and try to get them about the same, you know, length. Then just do little V's in between each one. There you go, cherry blossom. Very simple. Do a little leaf bit there. And I'm just going to quickly sketch in some other ones. I'll show you as well. I'm going to do a few like little cherry blossom leaves. To do them, simple again. Like a long S shape. Do the same kind of S shape, just come a bit wide at the end, like that. So you got a gap. Then just connect that with like a bent V, and just bring that line out and join it back up. Cherry blossom leaf flying in the wind. Right, so I'm going to quickly sketch in some more now. Now we've got that. It's going to bring a little tail feathers at the bottom. Now, if it was straight, it'd be like a straight kind of V curve shape, but it's not. It's slightly an angle. So if you imagine drawing a line here, just keep doing sausage shapes. Cross like that. And then a couple of small ones there. Let's start off with this one, the one which seems like the most centered. So just pick that one for now. Just go over these sausage shapes. So very long, and remember these two side ones slightly smaller. Just a couple at the back. Not too many at the back. And that is the line work for now. And now there's many ways, different ways of doing owls. You can have like the wings open and that, but with the owls, it's all about trying to work out what shows the personality you're trying to show off. Like if you've got the eyes like that, it makes them a bit more mean. And that, if you want to make him sort of like really mean, sort of don't do no pupils. Have them white. Now you want to make him a bit more friendly, do a pupil inside. Now for this one, I'll do them quite big. And that. Now I'm going to have them facing kind of this direction, so I want it to be in that kind of part of the eye. And that. And what I'm going to do, just inside that circle, it's going to do 2 white circles. So you see, I'll do a circle around here for the pupil. And I'm going to do a big circle here, a little circle there. And I'm colouring the rest black. Do the same thing on the other side. I take my rubber, just going to rub all that pencil line out now. Depending on what pen you just used, you might want to give it a little while to dry. I use the Unipen fine liners. They tend to dry really quick, especially on this kind of paper. This is just like your basic ebony sketchbook. That's the basic pencil work rubbed out. And now to colour in, you can use pretty much anything you want. You can use pencil to colour in, paint, pens. And now I'm going to use this new set of markers I got. Now usually I use trio markers, flex markers and pro markers. I'll probably switch and use a bit of them as well. But I've got these aqua markers. So I'm going to try these, see what they're like. So I'm going to take that. Now colour wise, you can use any kind of colour you want. When it comes to L's, you can do it in blues, you can do it in browns, reds, purples. And but get these out. This set doesn't have a grey though, so I'm going to use a grey from one of my other sets. I'll pretty much take these all out. It's fun. So just going to grab me greys. And a grey is just like pencil, you just, when I use a light pen, just go a bit lighter with a pencil. If you're using watercolours, just add a bit more water and go a bit lighter with a colour. Now, first off I'm going to put in my grey shade and stuff, just get a bit darker tones in certain areas. And so, yeah, I'll start off with this one. Now it's real simple, it's just like, some bits on the line, sometimes you're going to go just up to the line, not quite on it. So there, just a little bit like around the beak on one side of it. So I'm touching line there, but I'm not touching the line on this little bit here. So there's a little white highlight. And that. A little bit just under the eye there. Just a little bit over the top, under the eyebrow. Just little areas, like you see, like around here where we've got this these lines here, just on the outside where I know the shadow is going to be underneath it. And then it's going to be some bigger shading, like you see on this wing bit here. I want this bit to be shadowed. So what I want to do is leave a little white gap and just flick my marker up. Just like that. And I'm going to do the same on the other side, just not quite as wide. And it's just to give it a sense of 3Dness. Now this one here on this wing, you've got to remember this wing is going behind this body bit. So I'm going to shade close to the body, sort of making a shadow of the body on the wing. So there'll be a lot more shadow on that bit. Same here, just under this wing bit. Just there. Just underneath that face. A few little bits there, just coming down from those little detail lines we've done. Remember the little flicks? Just underneath that collar bit. And there we go, just on that bit of the body there. Underneath on the back. Now it's going to bring in a black. I'm going to bring in some dark, thick black lines in certain areas. Just like mainly where the shadow is. See, like here, just around this bit. And cool, so what they're called aqua markers, they're quite watery. So there's like a nice thick line there, which I'm going to blend out a bit. I'm not being too neat with this, because when I blend it out you won't really notice it as much. I'll show you how to blend out as well. Just going to bring a little bit here. A little bit down, just around the face. These aqua markers are a lot more pastel than trio markers and flex markers. You know, as they sort of sink in, they dry a little bit lighter. You know, like my flex marker black will go pitch black, as where this one kind of faints a little bit. Now here I'm just bringing in my grey again, the same grey I used before, and just working that into the edge. Now you might have a bit of trouble with this because sometimes these pens do bleed. But try the idea is kind of flick it into it just repeatedly. And that. If you're using like a really thin paper, it's probably not going to be a good idea using these markers. You might use pencil. And that, but I mean, this kind of paper isn't expensive. I mean, this is just like a basic sketchbook. You know, I've always used these sketchbooks. I just really like them. And you know, they're good sort of, you know, relatively thick paper in that. It allows for a little bit of bleed, but it controls it. I'll keep working in the black as I go along, but now I want to move to a little bit of colour. See what these colours are like. Start with, I'm just going to use this. Going to try this brown out. I'm going to use it on one of the wings. This one is gold ochre. No, that's very bright. It's a lot brighter than what I thought it'd be. Show the other tip. Yeah, it's much more like painting with these, and actually a lot more watery. I use it, but I probably won't buy these again. I think the Flex markers and the Pro markers are a lot better. Oh, come on. Yeah, it's much like painting. I think if I wanted to paint, I'd just rather grab my paintbrushes. Yeah, I'll switch back to the other ones, I think, for now. Right, just make colours. So yeah, Pro marker. This one's red. I'm just going to use this for certain areas. I've used this a lot on a cherry blossom, so I don't use it too much in the body, but I want to bring it in certain areas because whatever colours you use in like your background objects, you always want to kind of include in the picture, and it kind of makes it feel a bit whole. But you don't want to use it too much, otherwise everything just appears to be one thing. So I'm just colouring those little semicircle bits around the eyes. Red. I'll do, not completely, but bring that red around that top bit just there, around the nose, just leave a little white edge at the top. And then I'm going to use it on the line across the wing. Line across there. Yeah, and I think I'll use just that, just for the moment. I might use a bit more in a sec. I'm going to switch to a nice orange. I'm going to use the orange colour in this bit just around the eyes. Like I said before, you know, any colour kind of works with these out, so really just go nuts on the colours. One thing that's always good to do, and that's if you're a bit worried about the sort of colours in that, once you've sort of originally done your line work, take a picture of it, print it up, and just sketch in a few colours on a couple of copies. And that sort of work out what colours you like and which colours you don't. You know, you'd be surprised sometimes to get colour combinations that work. Now I've got me a nice blue. I think it's a nice blue. Yeah. Do this around the face. It's a nice contrast between the other colours. Again, it's blue on the outside, but I'm not going to go up to the edge. I'm going to leave like a line. Each time I get near that edge, I'm just going to leave a little white stripe. just like that. Then this blue I'm going to work into the wings as well. For the moment I'm just going over the top completely. Just leaving those little edges around the outside. You see the white gap? Now we're going to use that for a pretty cool highlight in a bit. Again, if your colours ain't quite smooth, you can just work them over the edge. If they're starting to look a bit grainy, let it dry a bit and then attack it again in about 5-10 minutes. Now, sometimes you can your work can get a little bit too wet. Now I've got that done. Yeah, I thought that's run out. Right. What I'm going to do, get my red. Now this is a good red. I'm going to use red and I'm going to go over with blue to turn it purple. Now, but initially, just go over all this bottom bit of the body in red. It's one really good thing I find about trio markers and pro markers and flex, and that's the colours really do blend well. Just leave that little white gap on the edge bit there. Around those claws. Right. And what you want to do is you want to grab blue. I'm going to start off with the baby blue. The same blue I used on this face bit. I'm going to go over the top. Now it's not going to turn it completely purple. It's going to give it a tint at first. And then I'm going to go over a darker blue to bring in a bit of shape to each of the scales. I find blue and reds and green and yellow works so well with these. If you mix like a good sort of yellow and a good blue, you get such a really awesome green. Yeah, yellow and blue, yeah. And I'm just going to get a slightly darker blue, not too dark, and it's like a shade darker than what I was working with. I'm going to bring this line in. I'm just going to go around those V shapes in between and leaving a little touch at the bottom of each scale. So you have a range of purple, blue, I'm mixing them crazy. My mix with up here, first shadows, backgrounds, doing out, and mixing them between. So you can see the whole picture. There we go. Then I'm going to grab that orange. I'm just going to do this chest bit in orange. One sec. Yeah. Stupid. Completely missed that last scale. I thought that was part of the colour bit. I'm just going to flick a little bit of brown around that top. I'm really feeling to use a bit of red in this the eyebrows. This is always a good point to, you know, take a step back and actually look at your work and try to work out where you need to put darker shadows. Now, looking at it now, I've got this nice shadow going here in the chest bit, but I don't have much shadow around the face, so I need to put a bit of dark shadow on this side, I reckon, and a little bit here, and then a bit more around this feather bits. Now the scale bits above it, I'm going to do the same colour as the thingy, the belly. I'm just going to use a bit of darker blue just on that inside bit. Not quite touching those edges. Cool. So like I said, just put a little bit of darker blue just around there, around there. Now just quickly I'm going to put a dark edge just all around the outside. Slightly thicker pen. Just makes it stand out a little bit more with that little line around the edge. You do it to buff up certain lines, like just under this collar bit. Just want that line to be a little bit more prominent, so I'm just going to thicken it up a little bit. See, just like that. And a little shadow just under here. Just going to go black. Quite a thick one there. Just to separate that. Now I got that done, I'm going to attack the claws. I'm going to use like orange, mixed with a bit of yellow and a bit of brown. So just, no, just orange and brown actually. Quite like this colour. Orange, brown. Now the tail feathers, I'm going to have the same colour as kind of like this, or similar. So now I'm going to have them flicking out with a white edge. I quite like the look of that. Just going to quickly colour in those cherry blossoms. Going to get all the leaves in reds, centre in yellow, and the little triangle bits on the outside, these bits, in green. Now it's going to quickly colour in the branch. It's going to do this like all bold, like, you know, brown, and just put dark brown bits in the middle. So. That's basic brown. I'm just going to put dark over the top of that. I'm going to put black, and then go back to the brown to blend out the edge bits. Because like I see here, whenever I've got a line, I'm just going to do the brown on one side of it and flick it out. So it's going to go black and just flick it from the shadows. So see, by the claw bit, it'll be shadow, and just on those lines. The main thing is you just want to make a big difference between the shadow of the branch to the body. You're going to make it quite clear that they are two different things. Right. Just putting a bit of shadow at the back, just where the feathers and that'd be. And just a little bit at the bottom. Now it's just pretty much just one final bit. Where I left those white lines around the edge, like the highlights, I'm going to put those in as colour. When it comes on this side, I'm going to have it yellow, and on this side I'm going to end the side as yet. I'll work out in a minute. That'll be another colour coming that way. So basically just get yellow, just work that in every time you're on that side. And what I'll do on this side now, I'm going to do this bit in whatever. I'll do it green. You want a colour that kind of contrasts to the other colours, and that's so something you don't really have very much of actually in the picture. I'm going to put a little bit of shadow in the background as well. So it's going to get me a bit of grey, put a few little cloudy bits. I think that's alright. Better grade than that. It's like wavy lines just going outwards. Now then, give me a darker grey. What if I'm a darker grey? Hey Bill, sorry again, the battery died again. Should have charged it for longer. And that, but yeah, like you see here, I just added like little clouds in the background. I mean, it's literally just like, you know, the grey pen, just like waving in, waving out. A few little bits here, sort of wave out, curve back in, and some little black dots, just varying in size, like big and small. And that just kind of adds a little bit extra to the background. And that, but yeah, there you have it. That is how to draw an old school owl. And I hope you like it. And we'll have many more videos coming out soon. Like I said before, I'm going to do the quick tip tutorials as well. So if there's anything you'd like to know, like little quick tips I could help you with, just comment below and I'll try and include them in my quick tips. And that's yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.